Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. What is this? Giant robots. You do have my attention, good sir. All joking aside, hello and welcome to the We're Doing an Indiegogo. Please pay attention to us and donate to our product pre-alpha version of Dual Gear. So what exactly is Dual Gear is a perfectly reasonable question for you to be asking it right now. Dual Gear, the best way I could describe it is what you would get if you took Armored Core, XCOM, and Valkyria Chronicles and like mixed all of those together. And I tell you what, only one other like extra early alpha game has ever just caused my jaw to like crater into the floor, that being Fractured Space, for which all of you should check out if you haven't. But this is a absolutely fantastic little game. So let's actually talk about how the game plays. In order to complete your mission, which in this particular demo is just destroy the crap out of everything, you have two resources mainly to deal with. That blue bar around your mech is your I can actually do stuff, I have energy to do anything bar. And you have two attack points to use per turn. Attacks take up one or two of your attack points, depending on how particularly devastating they could be, and a small portion of your energy bar, which is also used for, as you can see, walking around, doing various things. And that seems like a really simple system, and it is. But it adds so much potential depth to the game. One thing that isn't currently in the alpha is all of the mechs that you have at your command are going to be customizable. So you're going to be able to put various weapon systems on them. As you can see, all of these guys have different loadouts. One guy has a pair of shotguns, another guy has a sword, another guy has an arm blade and missiles and a giant cannon and la-da-da-da-da. You will also be able to, equip various body parts, maybe tank treads or quad legs, those sort of things. And that's all going to affect how healthy each individual part of your mech is. You can have arms fall off and you lose those weapons. Losing all of your weapons makes you essentially lose the unit, which I think is pretty cool. And that customization, along with the deceptively simple in-game battle system, I think is going to lead to something that will end up being truly spectacular in the end. So convinced am I that this is going to be a spectacular product that I did something I don't normally do, and I went and I donated to the campaign. I got the version that's going to get me like the in-game soundtrack and the game and some other nice little goodies. But normally I have a little bit of trepidation when donating to Indiegogos or Kickstarters or whatever, because some of them aren't so great. A lot of them have ended up just evaporating. And if it wasn't for the fact that while this is a new studio, they're not inexperienced. This is not their first rodeo. They do have other products out there in the wild. This is just their first original IP. And I was convinced. I think that this is going to be pretty cool, and I hope you do too. But enough about that. We've got 3 enemy mechs to deal with. Well, minus 1 arm now. And let's focus on taking care of those jerk faces. One particular mechanic that I think happens to add a whole lot of depth to this game is the way counterattacks work. You will notice all of the enemy mechs have a yellow bar next to them. That is their counterattack bar. Whenever I move any of my mechs on my turn, that yellow bar goes down. You can see right here, the melee guy, he's got 2 melee weapons, his bar just went down to nothing. He would have counterattacked me right there if he actually had a ranged weapon. Since he only has melee, I can walk right up to him, not quite melee range, and just, you know, fill him full of holes. So since that counterattack bar only goes down while I am moving my mechs, that allows me to control whether or not the enemy is going to counterattack. This counterattack system, coupled with the customization of mechs and the fact that combat is done on a % chance to hit basis, allows for some interesting things. So that guy right there just moved away from my shotgun guy so that he would take less damage whenever I counterattacked, but he could still have a reasonable chance of doing a good amount of damage. You will be able to customize the loadout on your mechs. Maybe you want to be a little bit more well-rounded. Maybe you want to have a sniper guy and a melee guy and a medium range guy. You can also control when they counterattack you, so you can plan your moves out accordingly. This creates a vast amount of strategic depth, which we're going to show off a little bit here with the third part of this mission. 3 enemy mechs are about to drop in, and we have to take care of them. So I have to think about the loadout of all of my guys. I've got one that's just a pair of shotguns and nothing else. He needs to be right up close. All of those enemy mechs look like they have some really hard-hitting weapons, so I need to pick my targets accordingly. Focus one down, that's going to remove a lot of damage much quicker than if I tried to spread my damage across all 3 of them. So, my plan is, this guy right here, he's got a giant freaking cannon on him that does a crap ton of damage. So we're going to have him go through that hangar. My other 3, we're going to move them around the side so they can get closer to the enemy mechs while still being in cover, allowing them to engage at short range, allowing them to hopefully clear out the enemy units much quicker with their increased % chance to hit. To you folks that like strategic RPGs, this is going to be a very familiar song and dance. So XCOM, Disgaea, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, this is all going to be familiar to you, except we don't have a grid that ties us down. I don't know how many units these things can move exactly. There is no numeric value attached to that energy bar. That's kind of unfortunate, as it makes it very hard to judge whether or not you can walk another 2 steps ahead before firing, but that's an issue that can be solved with a UI element or 2. I was pleasantly surprised after playing this game. I really wasn't expecting a whole lot. It was a little difficult to get used to at first, but once I understood what was going on, how everything worked, this game really started to shine to me. I don't know if the developers have multiplayer in mind for this game, but I think with a little bit of tweaking, it might actually work. I really think that with the proper support, this game could be, if not an esport, at least have a healthy multiplayer population. It seems like it could be deep enough for the really hardcore folks out there, while also being easy enough to understand that the more casual folks will be able to get in on the fun too, and that is rather awesome. So here we're finally in position to start attacking the enemy team. They haven't started to come at us, but I do know they will attack once we get close enough. So, since I don't know where that range is, we're gonna just attack from range with this cannon. Only 22% chance to hit, but maybe? Yeah. It's always satisfying to shoot somebody in the face with a really big gun. So, since they didn't engage on my cannon guy, we've still got at least one more turn where we can move the rest of our team up, because they're not quite in range to be able to engage safely. So we're going to get everybody as close as we can while still being in cover, so we don't get engaged upon, but we will be in a good position next turn to engage them. You really do have to be careful when engaging those 3. In the past 2 playthroughs that I've done, I've made some mistakes. That red guy in the middle has a gun that will hit multiple targets if they're within line of sight, and line of sight is important in this game, as you will see later. And one of those green guys has 2 of those giant cannons that my cannon guy does, so he has the potential to do crap tons of damage. But that is what's interesting about strategy games. You have to solve the puzzle that is the enemy team. But the mechs you get as the player are very well equipped, so taking care of the enemy team isn't a problem. I figure since my other three are about ready to engage, I can get as close as I can to this red guy, hopefully to take him out. I could have moved a few steps further before not being able to fire, but I made a pretty good decision right there, and that dude just ate 2100 damage to the face. Yeah, he had a bad day. Unfortunately, since that gun takes so much ammo, I'm not able to attack again, but I don't need to attack again. I've done already what I set out to do with that cannon, and now we can engage the final two guys. So let's go ahead and book it around and stay in cover and use a few missiles on that guy right there, and oh, that is a critical hit. I guess maybe we took out his head or something, but normally you're not able to kill those in one round, so now we only have to deal with this one enemy mech. Move a little bit closer, don't trigger a counterattack, but, you know, improve our accuracy just a little bit. Unfortunately, we can't fire again, we don't have enough energy, but we've got two more mechs to work through. Let's see what they can do. So, since we haven't had a melee attack this entire game, let's rush that guy with our sword and eat a counterattack from the canyon. Oh, that sucks. Wasn't a one-hit KO, but certainly did a lot of damage. Not enough energy to use the sword. Should have gone for the submachine gun right there, but didn't do it. So now let's rush with our shotgun guy. And right here, we're gonna see one of our demonstrations why line of sight is so important. Right there, I hid so that he wouldn't counterattack me, but he still gets a second one for the turn. We're gonna stop before it actually goes off and use the shotguns. Now, since shotguns have a spread, that means they can potentially hit your own allies if they're within the cone. So I just hit my sword guy right there. Not for a lot, but I hit my own guy, and that's not good. Now for our second demonstration, we're going to slow it down a bit. Things are going to be weird, but this enemy mech is going to move, and he's going to trigger a counterattack from one of my mechs. You will notice that two of them are lined up. So I've got my shotgun guy in between the enemy mech and the one that's about to counterattack. So enemy mech turns around and attacks my guy that's counterattacking him, but since my shotgun guy is in the way, instead of either of them getting hit, shotgun is going to get absolutely drilled. Isn't that a fantastic little bit of exploitable behavior? Now, I could have gone and tried to end the game quite a bit sooner by using this unit, but I wanted to kill that last guy with my sword. Because, let's be real, who doesn't like giant robots using swords on each other? I'll tell you who, nobody. Nobody doesn't like giant robots with swords. So, two of my guys whittle away at him a little bit, but my focus is going to be on using the melee attack from my unit with a sword. And here we're going to show off another interesting little bit. I talked about the fact that you could destroy the arms on an enemy mech. So right there, I messed up my attack, but I still knocked his arm off. So he's down one machine gun and one cannon. My guess is that the different melee weapons will behave slightly differently, thus allowing you to, sort of target enemy mechs in a specific way. That punching blade you see my other guy with probably is going to be better at outright killing mechs, while this sword seems to be pretty dang good at disarming them. Chew on him a little bit more with these shotguns. Last guy for the turn, not expecting to kill him, but he's really dang close to death. At this point, I was fully expecting the enemy mech to turn around, use his cannon on my sword guy, and that would be that. And, well, I was half right. I mean, that's not my sword guy, but that is a giant freaking cannon. Yeah, this is gonna... Yeah, that hurt. Ah, damn, nailed two of my guys with that cannon. That's a lot of armor destruction. But they're not dead, and that's good news for me. But, we're gonna kill him with a sword, because why not? Let's kill him with a sword. But we end up not actually killing him, but he is effectively killed, right? So I told you earlier that you could, take off arms. So if you take off both arms, you get rid of all the weapons, and the mech is then counted as destroyed. Hopefully this mechanic stays in for the final game, and it can somehow be worked into a situation where you get to salvage mechs you don't outright destroy. I think that would be pretty spiffy. But, yeah. So, this has been Dual Gear. Thank you very much for watching. Please go download it. Go check out the Indiegogo page for these guys. I will link it in the description down below. I think it's totally worth it, and I hope all of you do too. Yeah. I'll see you next time, because we will have a next time with this game. I promise.